From Boston, Massachusetts, to Adelaide, Australia, and everywhere in between. Talking local and national sports and just about anything discussed in a tavern. Broadcasting from South Lyon, Michigan. Welcome to Easyspeak at Speakeasy330 with your hosts, Rich and Tom.
Good evening. We are back. We got a full action-packed show tonight. We were supposed to have the whole crew up in the Speakeasy, but some things happened and it didn't work out that way. But nonetheless, we're going to get this thing going. We're going to talk about the craziness going on in Evanston, Illinois with the Northwestern University. Pat Fitzgerald gets fired. It's a big mess. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about the second half of the MLB season now that All-Star break has come and gone. So we're going to give our predictions of who could be sleeper team to look out for. And our mid-season predictions. We did a preseason prediction. So we're going to do a mid-season prediction. And the Big Ten football season is upon us almost. Going to start up here within about a month. So we're going to give our way too early predictions for the division winners, the last season that they're doing divisions in the Big Ten. So that should be fun. And the fantasy football season is coming up. So we are going to go over some of the top quarterbacks and wide receivers to look out for and some potential sleepers. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you to my left, Mr. Tim. We got Tim on screen all day today. Tim, what's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Doing well. Glad to see you're here. I'm glad we were able to fix this whole screen situation.
Yeah. Got to figure it out finally. Only took us a month.
And so the people can see your face all the time instead of switching back and forth. So glad you're here. JP, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
Just another Sunday night in the Speakeasy. Loving it.
Yep. Decked out in maize and blue over here, as you can see. So now Tim can see all day long, every day.
I had my Woodson jersey on, but it might not fit me right. So I went ahead and turned it. I changed. So
you and me both, buddy.
Rich Jasper coming from Boyne today. He made the show. What's up?
Hey. So you said the jersey was a little. There's a couple jerseys you got a little toit on you.
It is toit.
It's a little.
Tommy needs to get on the treadmill a little bit.
Yeah,
toit the treadmill.
Maybe
Go to Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
Well,
Fitness Pizza.
I do have a membership, but it doesn't do me any good when I don't use it. So
yeah, I mean, the hardest part about it is just getting through the door, right?
And then now Milford Road's all jacked up, so it's just a big mess. So
came in, had an early game, had an 8 a.m. game this morning. It was just a consolation game. The tournament was, the seating was just bullshit. I was kind of telling you guys where they had odd number of teams, so they went 4, 4, and 3, and the pool 1 and pool 2 got the first top 2, and then pool 3, which happened to be my son's team, was in, and they went 1-1 in pool play, and then they played in the consolation bracket with a team that I honestly think that probably should just quit playing baseball together because it was that bad. But they ended up winning, and then drove home. I sent a text out to you guys. I stopped at Halo Burger. Never been there before.
It looked good.
In Birch Run.
You should have pulled out your phone and did a review so we could have talked about it on the show.
I have a TikTok off of my pictures. I didn't do any narration or like that. It wasn't like the narration at Polly's front porch, but
that was fun.
But no, it was good. I mean, if you get a chance next time you're up there, dive in there and get an olive burger. Everybody said that's the best burger, and that's like kind of like a Flint staple is the olive burger. So I had it, and it was legit. And you know what? It was kind of like watching the grill press. It was kind of like watching what's that? In-N-Out Burger out west. That's pretty much what it looked like. So I mean, they take them there in a ball and they smash them down, and so it was good.
I probably would have went for the bacon. I don't know about the olive.
Oh, dude, the olive. You got to get the olive, dude.
Before we get this thing going, can we just take notice to the gun show in the lower right-hand side of the screen, ladies and gentlemen.
Hercules.
I think JP just got done doing some JP just
my little Hercules.
Hercules.
he just got done doing some P90X and before doing the show. So we can
P92nd X.
We can definitely appreciate the gun show going on.
That chicken breast I just ate was pretty good. That was about it. A little bit of fried chicken.
So before we get going tonight, I do want to take a little side note here and talk about our Tigers this weekend.
Right into this game, fly ball to center. This one's deep. Beerling going back to the wall, and he's going to jump up and make the catch. How about it? He kept us in suspense for a moment. He came.
Sends one to deep left field. Got Kelnick turned around. Out of here. Carpenter on the first pitch he sees on a Saturday night. Goes yard. He's got the kid from the Motor City. And he pounds this one all the way back into right field. A 3-run bomb.
Dude, Kerry Carpenter's a beast.
He's got 18 home runs in his first 80 games as a Tiger, second all-time team history.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they did nothing today, get shut out 2-0. Although the pitching was really good. They gave up a run in the first and the third, and that was it. So pitching has been really solid. Erods look good. And then the lone all-star, Michael Van's wearing cleats, Lorenzen, looked really good last night. You know, the Tigers are like right in the mix here.
Yeah.
JP, is there reason? Is there any inclination? Is there hope that they have a chance maybe to squeak their way up into the conversation for the division?
Yeah, I think, you look at the division and how bad it is. I'm pretty sure Minnesota lost to Oakland today. The Guardians can't seem to get out of their own way. You got 4-game set coming up against Kansas City before you host the Padres. I think 13 of their next games are teams under 500. So I think they got a shot. Carpenter came out on fire. Torque didn't look too hot in the first series.
Or Baez.
So, yeah. And Baez just continues to slide down the lineup. If anything, maybe Carpenter's the guy, and maybe we have some protection for Carpenter now to step up. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this AL Central here in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it's as soon as you want to shut the door on them, they go and, take 2 or 3 in Seattle.
Yeah.
Rich, I'll ask you, since Jacob, your son, has really gotten himself into pitching. What is more important, would you say, a hot offensive team or lights out starting pitching?
Well, here's the thing: is you can have average pitching because you gotta stop runs. You gotta have defense, right? You gotta be able to stop runs, but then, however, you got to be able to hit the ball, right? You got to be able to manufacture runs, put yourself in a position to score, and it kind of goes both ways. I mean, the Stars need to align on that. I'll tell you right now, this past weekend, the second team we played, I mean, the pitching was great on both sides, and I mean, it was one. It was one crack of the bats. What the whole difference was. Plus, there was a couple. A play here, a play there. I think in the major leagues, I think the stealing has gone up, which I think has increased run productivity because it's obviously you only get 2 throwovers the first, right, and then after that the guy can just run wild. It's between catcher and guy on first, type deal. So a lot of it plays into effect, but I mean, I think pitching is what really shuts games down. If you can shut the other guy's bat down, you have a 75% chance of winning the game.
Yeah.
But that 25%, you got to make sure that
you hope to put at least one run on the board.
Yeah.
Tim, they they did something I was a bit surprised this week. They DFA'd Scope, which was kind of shocking to me. I'm not surprised they did it, but so he's been waived and whatnot. And the more the Tigers seem to keep themselves in the mix, do you see Miggy's plate appearances shrinking, or are they just going to ride him out to the end and then send him on his way?
As long as they stay within 5 games of the division lead, I think it's going to keep shrinking, because at that point you're still competitive and you can't have a liability in the lineup, regardless that it is Miggy. You're either going to go for the division or you're going to parade Miggy out there for a farewell tour. Do you want to win or do you want a farewell tour?
Right. Yeah. And he had a couple hits last night, which looked good, but he's just way too up and down. And you look at some of these young guys like Kerry Carpenter that are really making an impact. And you got guys down in Toledo that could potentially come up here and make some noise.
I was going to say, at what point is Miggy taking that's away from the future?
That's what I'm.
That's right now.
That's where I'm getting at. Like
Timmy's been doing it for 2 years.
I think he's been doing it longer than 2 years.
He's been
doing it for 7, Rich.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in the last 2 years, he's been. I mean, you think about it, he's taking at bats away.
Yeah.
And also last year, Torkelson was taking at bats away when he wasn't doing shit. So I mean,
absolutely.
They're paying the guy $30 million a year, so he's going to continue to take that bats away until he's off the books.
Yeah, and it's a shame, being that he was one of the greatest hitters of all time, and he's got no power. And you look at what Pujols did last year. He went out really with a bang. He had a really nice production year, and you were hoping for that with Miggy. But 1 home run, I think he's got like 20-something RBIs. It's time. It's time to hang it up. And I wish they would just go ahead and give them the old, we appreciate what you've done. It's time to move on. But
what's going on with the recall of Nick Maton? I didn't think we were going to see him again for the rest of the year.
They don't have a better option. I think that's the problem. But he went yard last night. So
yeah.
But he went down to Toledo and he was dominating. He hit like 2 home runs in a couple weeks, and he was batting 3-something, and he did make a couple of errors at third base. Shocker. But I just don't think they have a better option. Nevin came up and he was just as bad, but he couldn't hit.
Yeah.
So they just sent him down. So
CD sacrificed a couple of errors for a couple runs.
Yeah. That's pretty much what went down with it. So
yeah.
But needless to say, it's exciting. I think we're all planning on maybe going down to the ball game next weekend, see the Padres, and you know what? It's always fun to get down there on a nice Saturday. I think it's a Saturday night game too, so that should be fun. So we're gonna move on to our first topic of the night. The the chaos in Evanston at Northwestern University. Yeah, this is a bad situation. I think you're getting a shout out there, JP. Somebody loves their Justin with the heart. Oh boy,
okay.
They like those guns. Yeah. So, if you've haven't lived under a rock, I should say, Pat Fitzgerald, coach of the Northwestern Wildcats. I'll never do that again. Don't worry. Was fired on Tuesday for allegedly running a program of hazing and racism, which I don't think any of us saw this one coming.
No.
Anywhere. The news broke over the last weekend that there was a player that came out and basically said they have this hazing program that they call it running, which used to punish team members, primarily freshmen, for mistakes made on the practice field. They dry hump in a dark locker room. I mean, it's pretty nasty stuff. But we were talking pre-show. This kind of behavior probably happens around every college campus throughout the country. But I think we can all agree the fact that this happened at Northwestern, which is supposed to be this prestigious school. They take academics seriously. Now here comes this report that there's hazing going on, and it's kind of a shock. I mean, Rich, I'll start with you. Like, is this a big issue around college campuses, or I mean, is this just part of the experience? And are you shocked that it came from Northwestern?
Here's the thing: is hazing is not something that just started last week or anything like that. But what the hell is that? Anyway, let me go back. So, hazing's been around for a long time, and the NCAA has done a fairly decent job at identifying when it happens, whether it's whistleblower or insiders see it or anything like that. It's huge because, especially the way that the hazing is now, I tell you right now, if I was a parent and my kid played college football and you make them, you're not a professional, right? You're not a perfectionist. You will make mistakes, but to have, guys pin you down to the ground and dry hump you, I'd be pretty upset. Yeah. I think it's. I mean, if you take somebody,
would you though?
Yeah, I'd be really upset. I know you wouldn't.
Hey, now
you'd be like, "Hey, did everybody get their turn?" That's what Jake. But the thing is like it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Like if you like hazing, if you took somebody and took like shrink wrap them to a goalpost, that's one thing. But that's kind of just like that's almost like a prank, But doing the other stuff, where you're really getting personal or you want intimate, I just say, but the fact that they call it run on, it's kind of like. What it is, but the thing was the reports say if you pull that back up, it says on there that he may have known, he may have known that hazing took place. And, they did it, Northwestern did an independent investigation. They said that they can't find anything that says that he directly knew that it was going on. However, he put on a 2-week suspension. He accepted a 2-week suspension, right? So he took a 2-week suspension, accepted it, and then after that he gets shit canned because more came out. It's like, you're not going to share the more that came out of it, type deal. So that's kind of like the Harry thing, and if he was, he's head of the ship, right? He's the captain of the ship. You go down with the ship when something like that happens. But his first mate and his assistant coaches probably should be feeling some wrath as well towards it too, because obviously if that's something that, that head coach can't be everywhere, but there's more assistant coaches than there are head coaches, right? There's more position coaches. Somebody had to have seen something happen.
Yeah. So it also came out at the start of this week that there was some scandals going on with the baseball program. And Wednesday, they end up firing their baseball coach for the same situation. Hazing going on within the program. JP, is this a situation where Northwestern was trying to get ahead of it and they just pulled the trigger and fired him? Do you think this was the right way to handle this situation?
Well, like we were talking about earlier, having been a part of a few high school locker rooms, and I can only imagine at the next levels how much more it's amplified. But this goes on everywhere. It's common practice. I think your locker rooms are kind of more ran by the players anyway, and it's kind of encouraged that way. I know I've seen witness hazing before, and I think it's just a situation here of it coming to light and it being at a program like Northwestern.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think once you get so deep into it, I think they kind of had no choice but to pull the trigger on getting rid of their coaches. Maybe coach. Somewhere else. Coach, or you baseball coach too, or whatever. No, but I just don't see this being a problem anywhere else. The dry humping thing, that's kind of that's a little strange. I can't say that was my go-to move, but
or you just don't want to talk about it. Hey,
right. Maybe a couple helicopters, something
filling holes,
something a little bit light but not touchy,
man.
No. You see it in NFL. Even like you watch these Hard Knock episodes where they make the rookies, pick up all the players' pads and jerseys and They tape them to field goal posts and things like that.
They go out dressed like women and
yeah,
yeah.
And then the investigation's a private investigation. They're not lending any details to the public, so nobody knows how bad and what the extent of it was. I don't think it's any kind of Penn State locker room situation with Jerry Sandusky here or anything like that. I think it's just something that came to light, and it's unfortunate because Pat Fitzgerald, dedicated 20 plus years of his life to this program, and you kind of felt like he was a guy that was kind of untouchable, almost like our guy, Jim Harbaugh.
Sure. Well, the attorney has basically come out in public and, quote, "I cannot understand how you could terminate someone for cause when they admit that their own lawyer does not have any evidence that my client ever knew anything at all about any of the alleged hazing behavior. If I present that to a jury is going to have a hard time believing that you can terminate someone for cause when they didn't know anything about it." And I think this goes back to like what you were saying, Rich, about, he's the head of the snake, so to speak. He's the captain. So I think that's what the school is looking at. But I'll ask you, Tim, he's the only one that got fired. And usually when there's some antics going on in a locker room, it's maybe some of the other coaches that are kind of initiating it or egging it on.
Yeah.
Do you find it strange that he was the only one that got let go?
It's 100% strange. As the head coach, you can't have your eyes everywhere. That's why you have your assistant coaches and your position coaches and your whatever other coaches you have.
Graduate assistants.
Great. Yeah. As a head coach,
there you go.
Your job is to oversee everything, but it's your assistant's jobs to see everything.
Right.
So, I mean, hazing happens everywhere. Like JP said, I know I've played football, baseball, and hockey, and I've been part of hazing. I've been hazed. It just happens everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So I've got a buddy, Rich and JP are familiar with him, Robbie, part of the Reckless Speculation show. And we talked about this the other day. And his thought process on why the school only fired Fitzgerald was they're expecting a lawsuit. And if they actually win the lawsuit, that kind of paves the way for them to go in next year and kind of clean house without fear of being sued. So, and then also my theory on this is, they were trying to maintain as many recruits as they can, because let's face it, the next step is Michigan State, and they might be a worse program. So I think they're trying to keep as much as they can intact while they go out and they kind of do their due diligence and find the next coach.
Northwestern isn't per se holding down a top 25 recruiting class. You know what I mean?
No,
they're towards the middle of the pack at the bottom.
Right. But you want to try and keep, we're getting ready to start the season. Spring games already happened, and they're going to be in camp if they're not already.
This is a weird situation, man, because they're still going to owe him $40 million at the end of the day, no matter what the severity of the case really was.
But before I ask who could replace him, we'll go around table here. Tim, will Pat Fitzgerald coach again?
I don't know. I don't believe so, because once you get dirt on your name, it's kind of hard to get it back. I mean, even with Urban Meyer, you seen him get a shot in the NFL, and it just didn't work out.
That's a whole nother situation.
Yeah. Once your name gets dragged through, it's hard to bounce back, regardless if you're innocent or guilty in the aspect.
JP.
Yeah, I think so. I think the counter lawsuit against the university, I think he's trying to save face. I think, not next year, but the year after could, land up as some analyst or something like that and work his way back into it.
Rich.
Yeah, I kind of agree with JP. I don't think he'll become an analyst. I think he'll stay out of the light for a while. But he'll pop up somewhere probably at a smaller school, kind of turn around, maybe like a mid-level, maybe a MAC or something like that. He'll probably, he'll take a little bit of fall from grace, but then he'll build himself back into a coach. Or, I mean, you got to think a couple of years ago, he was highly regarded as a possible NFL coach.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
he's still walking away with $40 million, he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, if he goes and clears his name through this, the counter suit against Northwestern, clears his name of any wrongdoing and stuff like that. I mean, there's NFL would take a flyer on it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Or on someone's staff. I mean, that might be a good way to get his reputation back. He could be
for sure.
He could be a D coordinator or a linebacker coach in the NFL. And so, I mean, I think he's young enough, and I think as this story kind of progresses and you get a little bit more information, I think it's going to come out that he really didn't know, which maybe that is a problem in itself. Maybe that he's not kind of
that's a huge problem.
Yeah. So
yeah.
JP, you heard Coach O.
Yeah.
Go Tigers. Talk about how if they called, he'd be interested. I can't imagine in any day and age, Coach O, who's the bringing side pieces into the coaching office and doing his little thing.
Hey, what's wrong with this?
What's wrong with that?
Who do you see as a good fit? I'll ask you. You're the savant in college football. Who would be a good replacement for Northwestern?
Coach O could be a good fit. No pun intended there, but
filling holes.
Right? Yeah. No. I seen Sharon Moore pop up already. Obviously, with the success at Michigan, with him being their OC, knowing the landscape of the Big Ten, maybe Tim's guy, Brian Hartline. Just two guys off the top of my head. I mean, it could be.
He doesn't like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Ryan Day's going to stay there, then you're going to lose him at some point, buddy. So just keep smiling over there. So he could be a guy that gets. He could be a guy that they call on. Two Big Ten guys. Yeah, it's wide open at this point. I don't think this school really anticipated losing Fitzgerald at any point. I thought he would. He just signed that 10-year extension a couple of years ago, so. I don't even think they know where they're looking at yet, to be honest with you. But obviously, all the hot candidates and all the hot coordinators are going to pop up first.
And they see them going maybe, a former player like they did when they brought in Fitzgerald. He was a legend. Went to the '96 Rose Bowl with them. So you look maybe that route. There's been some pretty decent quarterbacks that have come through there. So definitely a big situation there with Northwestern. I don't think anybody anticipated. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. So we're going to move on to our next topic here. We got the second half of the MLB season is underway. As we said earlier, the Tigers take 2 of 3 from Seattle, which was really nice. So situation as it stands right now in the AL, Tampa Bay. I don't know. There was somebody on this show that said Tampa Bay was going to win the AL East, and I got a lot of chuckles. But we won't go any further there. The Central is a dumpster fire, as we all know. I mean, look at
Tom
Boston.
Sloan. Tom keeps all receipts.
Well, you have to. Boston, last place in the East, would be up by probably 3 games in the Central, and then the West is exciting. I mean, this one's going to come down to Texas and Houston. So there's a lot of close races. Even the East, the Orioles, man, no one saw that one coming. They're playing really good baseball, and the Yankees are minus Aaron Judge, and I've always said they don't have enough pitching. You could have. I asked you this question earlier, Rich, like what's more important, pitching or hitting? And New York's got the hitting. They just don't have the pitching. So, and then you flip it over to the NL, Atlanta's just running away with the East. Although Miami has really played good baseball this year, I don't think anyone expected them to be where they're at. The Central, America's team, the Reds, Milwaukee overtook them. But I think that race, I think the Cubs are going to get up into the conversation at some point too. So that Central division is going to be real tight. And then the West, man, the West is hot. You have 3 teams that are right within striking distance. And don't forget the Padres. The Padres probably have one of the most dynamic lineups in all of baseball. So the fact that they're 5 games under 500 and 10 games out of the division is rather shocking to me. So seeing that picture here, Tim, I'll start with you. Who do you see as a possible sleeper team that maybe could work their way up and make some noise here toward the end of the season.
I'm going to go with the Padres. Their pitching is allowing 3.84 earned runs per game, which is best in the National League. And they just have so much hitting potential. They can't be this bad for a whole season. There's no way. You have Bogarts, Juan Soto, Manny Machado.
Juan Soto?
Swoto?
Soto.
Yeah, that guy.
Soto. But yeah,
Is he related to Hans Solo?
Han Solo. Yeah.
No, he was just one. He was just
solo.
solo. Yeah, he was just solo.
One swallow?
Yeah, I would go with the Padres. Their pitching's really good. Their hitting's got to pick up at some point. To me, you have 3 or 4 future Hall of Fame hitters on that team right now. And I just don't see them being this bad forever. 10 games is really nothing in a 80-game span.
I mean, they've got the ability. They got the firepower to do it. If there was a team, you would think that would be it. Rich, you got a team that you've got your eye on that maybe aren't there yet, but could be come September.
And you look at the AL West. You look at Houston, and you look at the Angels. You look at those. Something's got to happen with Los Angeles. Either they need to dump Ohtani and just blow it up and do a rebuild. But if they keep Ohtani, 8 games back is not terrible, but it's going to be hard to really catch up to the Rangers. The Rangers, I mean, they have everything put together. They got I mean, if you look at the way the All-Star structure was, you might as well just put the Braves and the Rangers out there and had them play against each other. It's
6 players.
Essentially what it was. Yeah. But I'm still holding tight with the Angels, maybe, and maybe
Trout's out until September.
Yeah, you got to weather that storm, right? It seems like every year they got to weather that storm, and I think that's why I think they're like, well, if he's not going to be back till September, the likelihood of Ohtani re-signing is probably slim and none. So I think they're going to move Ohtani. I think Ohtani. Some people are even speculating that they might, the Reds might be in play for him. But the thing is a lot of people, they're
going to want De La Cruz on that one.
Yeah, but not only that though, but they have a lot of prospects, a lot of future prospects.
Yeah,
in the pipeline, and it's all whether or not they want to go for it now or if they want to just continuously build on what they have, which I think option 2 is what they're going to probably do.
Right.
But don't be surprised if you don't see them out in New York. I mean, New York, they'd love to have that extra bat in the lineup right there, especially, and then every 5 days trot them out there, to throw 12 Ks and no walks. So
I mean, for the haul that they're going to get for Ohtani, though, aren't they better off without him? Because you're going to get so much in return, and you're already not winning with them.
Yeah, I mean, but I think they're going to. Here's the thing that's going to happen is, yeah, you're right. The Angels are going to want to haul for him. Yeah. But the thing is, I think they're going to get to the deadline where it's going to be close, and if there's no conversation to re-sign him, they'll probably
get something for him.
Probably take what they can get for him instead of just losing him outright. So it'll be like one of those down to the wire deals, because it's not going to be like 5-10 days before before. It'll be like
they're going to leverage it.
It'll be like the 4 o'clock, it'll be like 4 o'clock last hour. Like,
well, they've already said that there's potential to move him. So they just lit the fuse, and they're going to let that thing go all the way down as far as they can to see, because one bid's going to come in and then another bid's going to come in. So they're going to hold out for the best option. So,
well, and it could also backfire on too, right?
Could.
They can be like, nah, we're good on this. We're good on this. We're good on this. And then,
but then at that point, you work on, try to build that relationship and hope that he stays. And Artie Moreno's already said he's the package is probably going to start in the range of $500 million, and he's comfortable in that area. So money is not an issue.
Too big of a package.
Money's not an issue with the Angels. So But yeah, it's
I
going
hope
to be
he goes to
exciting.
the Mets, man. More money, more luxury taxes, and they still.
So what? They
stink.
got $1 billion salary. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Right.
JP, who's your team that you're looking at that could, make a little bit run at this thing?
I went with Grandpa Votto and the boys out there in Cincy.
Eight
They,
home runs in 20 games
Yeah.
back from the IL. He's
Yeah.
been great.
Yeah, so they came into the second half. They were first place in the NL Central. Obviously, they got swept by the Brewers this weekend, so they're now 2 games back of the Brewers. But I think it's just such an intriguing storyline.
Yeah.
With the young nucleus that they have there. I think obviously their record shows that Ellie De La Cruz has improved their team mightily. I think they're 21-11 or something like that since he's been called up.
He's propelled all their play. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, you got younger guys, Spencer Steer, Jonathan India. It's interesting, man. Then another team that I'm interested to see in the second half is the Yankees. What are they going to do? They've lost a lot. Obviously, I heard Aaron Judge is back taking BP, so he should be back soon.
Already making excuses. That toe is not going to be. He'll be 80% at best. He's already preparing for the Boo Birds.
Well, if he can just DH, that'll be it. But they've lost a lot though. Nestor Cortez and Frankie Montez, who they acquired last year from the A's. But I think if they can get back in a somewhat healthy situation and get it figured out, I think they're a team that can make a run.
They're like the Padres.
Yeah,
they're loaded, but they're not putting it together.
Yeah.
Did you happen to catch Joey Votto's interview after the game the other night when he had his he's being interviewed? He's got his hat backwards. He goes, "Do you like the hat to the back? I've got the flat bill. It's to the back, because I'm young and hip. You got to, when you're young and hip, you do things like that. Me and Ellie talk all the time how, it's great being young and hip.
Yeah.
That dude is great. I love him.
Yeah.
He is awesome. We need to get a Votto jersey hanging up here in the speakeasy. That needs to happen. I'm going with the Giants. I like that division. I think that division is going to be exciting. 2.5 games out as of, starting to play today. There's such a rivalry between the Dodgers. I just see this thing back and forth. It could be a dogfight and maybe not win the division, but I can see themselves getting themselves into one of the 2 wild cards. But there's another team that, they've struggled the past couple years and they've put it together and they're right there in the mix. So
I could see Arizona making a little fall from grace too,
Yeah, and you're already starting to see it.
San Francisco is going to pass them up, and I think the Padres are too.
Yeah, you're already starting to see that. But you know what? They're the good feel-good story of the first half of them in Cincinnati. They've got a good nucleus of young players, and you kind of look at that, and you hope the Tigers can kind of put something together in that regard. But we'll go real quick. Our second half predictions for the division winners. Tim, I'll start with you. Give me your division winners in the AL.
I think it's going to be the Rays, the Rangers, and I'm not going to lose faith in the hometown boys quite yet. Give me the Tigers in the Central.
All right, and then give me your NL squad.
Braves, 10-game lead. They're not going to lose it. It's not going to happen. The Reds, they're young enough. I think they're going to keep growing and getting better as the season goes on. They'll take the Central. And in the West, Dodgers spend their division for the past 5 to 10 years, and it's that payroll's too high for them to lose.
For sure. Rich, give me your NL. Oh, you're muted.
Braves, Reds. I think I'm going to go with you, Tom. I think the Giants are going to end up kind of just creeping back up there.
And then your AL pick.
I think the Rays are going to close out the East. I think the Cleveland Guardians are going to take the Central. And, Jesus Christ, man, I get a lot of laughs there. And then I'm going to go with the Angels in the West.
Oh, that's a bold prediction. JP, give me your AL.
Oh, in the East, it's pretty tight. I think Baltimore is actually a big-time sleeper there. I like Baltimore. I think they're getting better. I think as you look, the Rays have kind of took a step back. The Central, I like Cleveland. I like Cleveland in the beginning of the year. I'm going to stick with Cleveland. I think they're getting healthier. They're starting to come together. The division stinks, so I like Cleveland. In the West, I think it's the Rangers. The Astros they're not healthy. They're not right. The Angels are a disaster. So I'll go I think Texas will run away with the West.
And then give me your NL.
And the NL East, I think it's pretty simple. I think the Atlanta Braves are the best team in baseball right now, hands down, with the best player in baseball in Acuna. I'm going to go down to the Central. I like the Reds, even though they just got swept by the Brewers, but I like the Reds in the Central. I think they're going to make a run. Watch out for the Cubs, though. The Cubs do have a strong lineup and a good pitching staff. Two of the NL leaders in ERA there in Chicago, so watch out for them. As we mentioned in the West, I think Arizona is going to make a little fall from grace here. I think the Padres can threaten. Obviously, the Dodgers are kind of too big to fail model. They have a lot of great players, a lot of big star power out there. I think they're going to hold on.
Did we lose JP? Oh, we're good.
All
right, perfect. I'll go my NL. I agree. Atlanta, it's just not much more to say about that team. They're loaded top to bottom. They're pitching. They're young. Their defense, they can hit the ball. They're just a great team. I like Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee made their turn, and they've got some veteran presence on that team. I think they're going to hold on to that spot, and I'm going to go Dodgers. Although the Giants are going to give them a run for their money. They're going to get a wild card, but that's going to be a fun division to watch going to the end of the season. And I'm sticking with my Rays, even though Baltimore's nipping at their heels. But I think ultimately they've got a better pitching staff, and they just play fundamental, boring baseball, and it just works. And they're going to take home the East.
They hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, but they just play fundamentally sound baseball, and I think that's the underrated aspect of them. And the Central, I think Cleveland's going to figure it out. Minnesota, it's going to be back and forth. I would love to say that the Tigers are going to make their way in, but I think the Tigers are going to kind of stick around right where they're at now. They're going to go on a run, and then they're going to lose some games they shouldn't, and just that's kind of been their MO all year. And then the West, I think Houston's going to make a run. I think Altuve is going to come back. They're going to get healthy at the right time, and they're going to get in there. Houston's going to take that West.
No Yordan Alvarez, though. That kind of hurts them.
Yeah, that is tough. But, I mean, they've got the experience, and they've been there, and they're battle-tested, and, the garbage can gate and all that good stuff. They've kind of what hasn't Dusty Baker had experience or been around for? The guy's like 100. Oh yeah, chewing on those
those
toothpicks, man. It's just crazy. So going to be a fun second half. I mean, baseball, we've talked about it before. Attendance is up, viewership is up. The game pace is faster. I think it's bringing in a different kind of fan. So it's on the top of people's minds, and we're talking about it here in July, and it's exciting, and going to be fun to see how this thing works out. So moving on to our favorite, college football, baby. Big Ten season, or basically the college football season, is going to be starting here real soon. And like we did with the NFL a couple weeks ago, it was a way too early prediction. We're going to give our way too early prediction for the Big Ten division winners. But before we do that,
here's Edwards with a lay. Donovan Edwards down the sideline, gets past Ransom. Donovan Edwards, touchdown, Michigan, the Don. $75 yards. Corum. Here's the run again. Donovan Edwards. Whoa! Can they catch him? No!
again, 85 yards. The Don, 2 huge touchdowns, and the Wolverines go up 44-23.
That's a little Easyspeak hazing right there.
Hey, there's some breaking news.
Uh-oh, what do we got?
Breaking news. Are you gonna play the cue? Cue it up. Breaking news. According to my sources, Donovan Edwards just scored another touchdown against Ohio State.
Again. Hey, Tom, a little easy speak hazing's good as long as you don't turn the lights off and hump them when the show's over.
Oh no, the lights.
Oh, that's happening.
You never trust a Buckeye, and that's my father too.
That's definitely happening.
That's happening.
Oh man, we got Randy Blunt checking in. Hell yeah, go blue! Yes.
That's my better half.
Is that a house divided there, Tim?
It's a house divided.
What's up with this guy? Really? I mean, seriously.
Obviously, we know who the smart one is.
Too.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, that's great.
Here's the hazing. Who do I report it to?
Oh yes. Personally saved him so much money the last 2 years. Oh man, I tell you, it is fun having a Buckeye on the show. I have to admit. We got some more here. Hey, from Manchester. Hey, there we go. Hey, from the other side of the pond.
Manchester.
We're gonna
get out of here.
We're gonna talk.
Get out of here.
We are gonna talk some
Manchester,
American
England.
football. Virgil Kane.
I got to ask Virgil this question: is he for Man City or Man U?
Oh,
I have to know.
He might be gone
Man
now.
City or Man U.
Inquiring minds want to know who your football of choice. Your football of team of choice is Virgil Kane. Welcome, mate. Yes. This could be a first, a British viewer, and we appreciate you guys checking in. That's awesome. I think we're all pretty jazzed up about that. So hopefully Virgil checks back in and lets us know who he is.
He's a Man City fan.
He's
a Man City fan.
Yes. Okay. I wonder what our good buddy Momo would think about that.
Oh, he would like it. He would like it.
Momo took a little spill yesterday. A little bit.
Oh, did he?
Too much of the old elixir. We'll say he's got stitches on his head, so he took a fall, hit his head last night. So hopefully
he took a header last night. Okay,
he took a header last night. But Virgil, thank you so much for checking in. That is awesome, and I hope you enjoy the content.
Where was he at a couple weeks ago when I was talking soccer, guys?
Yeah, we did a breakdown.
Messi.
We did a breakdown Messi, which Messi July 21st will make his debut for Inter Miami. I believe that's what you say it.
United aren't from Manchester, brother. I love it.
This is great. We might have to check in with Virgil on a soccer segment. So hopefully he likes and follows the show so he can watch us again. So, but again, we do apologize for that video of Donovan Edwards absolutely running the ball down the throat of a cover zero defense of the Buckeyes. But with that being said, we have the East standing winners last year. Obviously, Michigan took it to the house, literally and figuratively, against the Buckeyes. Ohio State second, Penn State. No surprises there. Tuck, apparently, we're still waiting for Tuck to come. Not sure if that's ever going to happen. And then the B squad, as I like to call the Big Ten West, Purdue. I mean, this is embarrassing, and I think this is one of the biggest reasons as to why there will be no divisions left in the Big Ten. Coach Pat, that is a good question. I think Kathy and her 45 guests went in there and cleaned out the house at the Whitmore Lake KFC for her party over the weekend? That is a good question. We'll have to send our insiders on that one. So, the comments and questions tonight, man, this show is great. I love it. So, JP, you are our resident college football guru. We need to get you some sort of a press pass so you can get in there and get the questions and kind of lead us the way. Give me your pick for the East. Do you see that kind of shaping up similar to the way it did last year?
I was trying not to be too biased here when I was thinking about it, if you can't tell. But I think you got to go with the leaders and best. Obviously, two-time repeating champions. You got McCarthy, you got Corum, you got Edwards back. They traded out Ryan Hayes to the NFL for Ladarius Henderson, a 3-year starter at Arizona State. Olu goes on to the NFL. They replace him with Drake Nugent, Remington finalist, transfer from Stanford. I mean, you look at the side of the defense, you got Mason Graham, Braden McGregor's ready to have a big explosion. Aiden Hutchinson type year on the edge. Junior Colson, 3-year starter at middle linebacker. Rod Moore, one of the best safeties in the country. One of the arguably the best corner in the country, and Will Johnson. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there, and I think that, and we have Ohio State at home this year, which is an advantage. Obviously, it's kind of 1A, 1B, whichever way you want to go with it. But I think that I like Michigan. I like Michigan's home field advantage, what they bring back. And they added the beat Georgia clock. I think they're going all in this year.
Yeah.
Blake Corum came out and said national title or bust this year.
Right.
So
you have to.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok recently, and this guy picked Maryland to beat Michigan. Yes, they got Tua's little brother, who I think is going into his 10th year of eligibility this year. It seems like he's been there forever. Do you see a scenario with that happening, or even Penn State kind of working their way to the top of the division?
I think not so much with Maryland. I know that they do recruit from a pretty big area there in that Maryland, D.C. area.
Yep.
And they've kind of been the ones that were supposed to come on for the last few years. Obviously, they brought in Loxley from Alabama. But Penn State's a wild card for me. They have Drew Aller, that quarterback who's supposed to be a huge rising star. They returned their backfield, who was great backfield last year. I think Singletary was a freshman last year. Manny Diaz, second year running the defense. They're the team in the East that would scare me the most outside of 1A and 1B, obviously. But I don't see I don't fear the turtle yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to give Tim his opportunity to rebuttal, and he already premised. He said he wasn't going to be biased, and I don't feel like you were biased. You were just spitting facts, JP. Tim, give me your breakdown.
Marvin Harrison Jr., best player in the country, top 3 pick. Wide receivers usually don't go number 1. That'll be Caleb Williams, but Marvin Harrison's the best player in the country. Emeka Ibuka, Julian Felming, Kyle McCord, plug and play quarterbacks. You got JT on the D line, Jack Sauer. With that being said, though, you got to give me the University of Michigan to win the East.
Wow.
Top dog until you're not.
Woo.
Top dog until you're not.
Hold on. Say that again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're just top dog until you're not.
he
I
added
agree with that.
he added the University of Michigan, folks.
Top. That's why my hat's not on right now. I got my slides
Woo.
off. Can't wear no gear on that pick. You're top dog until you're not.
I can confirm they are off.
Dude.
He's gonna take a kerosene bath when he gets home.
Donovan Edwards is
So-
still running.
I mean, he's got a point. He's got a point.
Guys, when we did the Michigan preview show a few years
don't
ago,
worry.
I think I picked Ohio State too, so it's okay.
Don't worry, Brandy. I will cut this special for you, and I will make sure that it's on all the socials. So
That's a reel. That's a reel all day long.
That's definitely going.
It's done. It's done. It might be done tonight. We'll get it on there for you for sure.
Yeah.
We don't need to beat Georgia clock. We would have beat Georgia if our kicker can make a kick. So we're already there.
It's still going left. It's still going left. I think it's in Seattle right now. Rich
could have beat Michigan if you could have made a tackle.
Well, hey JP, the same can be said about TCU. So
yeah, right.
not to be biased, but he went in the first round. He went in the first round, and I can't believe that. But anyways, Rich, same question basically. Do you see any scenario where Michigan doesn't win this conference or this division? I'll say.
Well, pardon me. Every year that we go into it, and we've hoped for years that we could get back to the Michigan, Ohio State last game of the year, deciding factor, et cetera. In the East, we're going to have that same again. I think both teams are going to go there undefeated. And I hate to beat a dead horse on this, but I think Michigan winning it 3 years in a row is going to be very difficult. But they are playing at home.
And they have the pieces to do it.
Yeah, and they do. And it's going to be a really close game. I still think Michigan's going to pull it off, but still Ohio State always scares me.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question for you guys, just so I know how to handle it. How do you guys handle losing 7 years in a row to your rival? How do you not?
It became expected. Ultimately, it just became it lost its sheen or its shine of a rivalry.
After 3 years, you kind of get numb to it.
If Ryan Day loses, it's like he can go to Northwestern.
Do you guys want another analogy? It's kind of like when you're a kid. And
here we go, folks. Rich Jasper analogies.
Hey, and you get your whoopings. As a kid,
with or without.
Normally, after the first 2 or 3, you don't feel them anymore.
Right? I'll give an analogy to that question too. It's just like the fart that I let go 10 minutes ago. All it is dust in the wind now, baby. It's history.
Yeah.
Well,
bringing up old shit.
If there's anybody,
literally.
If anybody's surprised that JP came in with the fart reset, you haven't been watching this show, but
no.
I agree. I think the two of the top 3 best teams in the country are in this division, and it's going to come down to the last Saturday in November, and Michigan having that home field, it's pretty big. And we thought maybe that was the case for Ohio State last year. And as Tim alluded to a little bit ago, Ed Donovan's still running, or is they call him the Don, but so they can't get complacent. They can't think that it's just going to be handed to them, because Ohio State's going to come and going to give them everything they can. And I think Ohio State's biggest question mark is McCord going to be able to kind of take the reins and do what every Ohio State quarterback's been able to do in the last 20 years, and just kind of run with it. So that'll be interesting. That'll be really interesting to see. But I think Michigan comes out definitely on top in this division. We won't spend a whole lot of time on the West, because let's face it, there's no reason to. You got a new coach in Wisconsin with Luke Fickell, which I think that's a great move. I think Luke Fickell's a really good coach. He goes to a Wisconsin team that focuses on defense, and that's kind of his bread and butter. So I think that's going to be a really good thing for that school. JP, you could see, from first to fourth in one game separated.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of crazy how that played out. And who do you got in this one?
Well, I like Wisconsin. You mentioned them. Fickell's first year. He brought over Phil Longo from North Carolina, where he's going to implement the air raid offense. They had Tanner Mordecai transfer from SMU. He threw for a bajillion yards there. Braylon Allen, who's a stud at running back. The guy's like 6'4".
Some say he's the best running back in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and they don't have Michigan or Penn State on the schedule. They play Iowa and Ohio State at home this year. I think the only other team you can really look at this year, an intriguing one to me now, given the storylines, is Iowa. Kirk Ferentz, the longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. Phil Parker, #1 defensive coordinator in the country. And then, they brought in Cade McNamara and Eric All, who a school that's been known to put out pro tight ends. If they can get a little bit of that offense going, they may very well be a dark horse in that West Division.
Their defense was solid last year, and if not for their putrid offense, they probably would have ran away with that division. Rich, who do you got in the West?
I'm kind of with you guys on the whole Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell's going to come in. I think he's going to turn it around for him. But however, like you said, Iowa's coming in. They got a new quarterback coming in, Eric All. Even though I think what he caught, maybe like a handful of passes from Michigan and talked all of his shit and left. He hasn't really proved anything to me to make him, be scared. But, the only thing that scares me is they are a tight end school. It's pretty much a tight end factory over there. I think Wisconsin is going to be probably up there, and they're going to take the spot in the West. And kind of like you said, their schedule strength. I mean, they're not playing powerhouses. So I think that's where they're going to really persevere at.
Tim, what do you got?
I have Wisconsin for no other reason than they just have the best head coach in the Big Ten West right now.
What, is anybody surprised that comment came from Tim?
Yeah. They also have a top 10 recruiting class right now, which is kind of uncharted waters for Wisconsin.
We're going to find out real quick about Luke Fickell. Is he going to be, because you could get away with it at Cincinnati. Wisconsin's going to be a really good barometer for him.
Tom, that was kind of a Kirk Herbstreit take there. We're going to find out real quick. That's his go-to line.
ESPN, they're hiring.
They are hiring.
Tom Herbstreit.
Tom Herbstreit. Okay, I like that.
I do think Kirk Herbstreit is one of the best in the business, even though he is a
guys. I could go about college football all night long, guys.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking Iowa. I like Iowa. I think Cade McNamara's got a manufactured chip on his shoulder, we'll say. He rightfully so lost the job here at Michigan. JJ just not only the demand to bring him in was great, but I think his play proved it. And the game against Hawaii, when it was just bang, 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 they bring Cade in, and it was like interception. And they scored like 10 points with him at the helm. I get it. The weather was kind of lousy, but he lost it. He lost the job. And I don't think him running his mouth after transferring did him any service, but I do think he's got some sort of a chip on his shoulder as well. Eric All, I don't know what his beef with the university is, but he's a hell of a tight end, and he's going to a school that will emphasize the use of the tight end, as we've already spoken about. So I like Iowa in that division. I think they've got a really good defense. Don't ask me to break down to the level of JP, because that's why we have JP on this show, so he can do it. Because I'm just
don't forget Iowa. Bryant Ferentz is on a contract based on incentives where his offense has to perform, or he's done this year. So he's got the right pieces in place to hopefully make a run.
Virgil, as a Catholic, I use the rhythm method. The composer must have been drunk. 8 darn kids. Any thoughts, guys?
You can't pull out of a driveway, Virgil.
Don't get in the car. Hand over the keys. That's what I
can't get pregnant from the butt.
Yeah.
You know what though? That's another story. We won't go there. That's another story for another time. Okay. Well, go blue, baby. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. I'm sorry, I don't have the Buckeye song queued up, but
you don't need it.
No. Okay. Maybe out of respect for our fellow compadre here, but going to be exciting, fellas. I can't wait for it. Another thing I can't wait for, the second annual second annual Easyspeak Fantasy Football, the Speakeasy Fantasy Football League. Man, it's going to be fun. JP's better half, Melissa, won the big thing last year. So there's going to be some in-house revenge, definitely. So we're looking forward to getting that thing started here this season. Today, we're going to talk about the top quarterbacks and the top wide receivers. Initially, this guy seemed to think that it was tight ends. I don't know what I was thinking. My eyes were not on the same page, but we made the quick adjustment and made sure that we're going to do the wide receivers this week. So we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Here's the rundown. Here's the rundown of the top quarterbacks. And look at that. She's already talking shit. Folks, she's already talking shit. She's ready for.
Some may say that there was some collusion there, but I'll say that she ran her own team the whole season.
I believe that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone more prepared for a fantasy football draft as Melissa was last year. That was a thing of beauty. She had her notes and she had highlighters. Man, she was ready to go, and that's awesome. And we look forward to doing that again here within the next month or so. But top 10, or I should say that top 20, I don't think there's any surprises here. Notably, Jared Goff was number 21 on this list. I just don't think he gets the respect. I don't know if fantasy value, if he's up there, but he's definitely got some weapons. So we will start with you, JP. Who's your top picks for fantasy quarterback?
Yeah, so I went with a couple of guys just out of the norm. I really like Trevor Lawrence in there at 9. He's got Calvin Ridley, who is an explosive receiver when in the lineup. I think he's always look for him to get some big targets. Zay Jones down the stretch was a big one for him last year. Christian Kirk had a career year. Travis Etienne, and then Tank Bigsby, a rookie that they got from Auburn in the backfield, who I think is going to be an underrated player. So he's got plenty of weapons to spread the ball around to. And I think he's going to put up huge fantasy numbers this year. And then also at quarterback, I went with our boy Aaron Rodgers. He asked for weapons. He got them. He's the number 14th rated quarterback. He's got Garrett Wilson and Allen Lazard to throw to. Also, they added Mecole Hardman.
Which is a quiet pickup.
Yeah.
What he was able to do with Kansas City, that's a very underrated move for the Jets.
He allows your offense to stretch the field. He's a super fast guy, which kind of seems to be the theme. And then, Breece Hall coming out of the backfield, who I think is going to be a superstar.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he was on his way. He got hurt, which was a shame last year. So, all right, Tim, let me get your top fantasy quarterback here.
Your top quarterbacks, everyone knows it's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Lamar Jackson. So just my sleeper-wise, Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback, I believe, by the end of the year with all the weapons he has. Justin Fields, he's proved he's good last year. Now you give him DJ Moore as a weapon, maybe a little biasm there, but he can run.
It's the rush yard. It's the rush
yards and touchdowns. Yep.
Yeah.
And Tua, I have Dolphins winning the East. Tua with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. As long as he can stay healthy, I believe he'll be a top 7 fantasy quarterback option.
Yeah. Rich, you got some top picks or even a sleeper that you think might be somebody to look out for this year?
No, I mean, I like Joe Burrow again. I think
a lot of weapons.
I think having the weapons, having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I think is going to be valuable for him. And then I also agree with you, JP. Aaron Rodgers. Now that let's see what he can do when he's got a supporting cast, right? He hasn't had one.
Insulated.
Yeah, he hasn't had one for years, right? He hasn't had anything for years.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he does. Sleeper, I think Jared Goff is still going to – he's a sleeper. I mean, I honestly – last year he definitely doesn't get the credit that is due to him because he plays for the Lions. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, everybody always looks past him except for last year. He did great protecting the ball. He didn't give the ball up,
Efficiency.
Yeah, he didn't give the ball up. They would always. It was kind of like days of past. Some games where he'd come out and he'd start slow, right? And we're accustomed to that because that's the way Stafford was for how many years. He'd come in slow, and then you get behind in the game where you have to pass the ball. So your passing stats get huge, right? But I think he did a good job, and I think a lot of it goes down to the play calling. I mean, Ben Johnson did a great job last year of keeping the defenses off balance a little bit. He run, but then you had a run game and you had an offensive line. So I think he definitely is going to be, the dark horse, I guess, if we'll say. I think Jared Goff is going to be the dark horse this year for sure.
For me, I think when it's all said and done, I think this is Justin Herbert's year to really take the next step. They're bringing in Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, who I think got railroaded in Dallas. I don't think he was the problem in Dallas. I think it may have been their quarterback and their head coach. But
I think it's the head coach.
That goes without saying. But I think this is the year. I mean, the Chargers, it's a win now, or they've been right there the last couple of years. So I think this is the year that he makes his move. But as far as sleepers go, I agree with Tim. I think Tua was on his way last year until they decided to play basketball off the turf with his head twice in 2 weeks, and it really messed him up. So barring any reoccurring issues with the concussions, or God forbid another concussion, you've got Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill. That's insanity. Just throw the ball up at that point. Even he's got not a very efficient arm, but just throw it. They're going to go and get it. So
sorry.
I tend to agree with you too, Rich, as far as Goff goes, but I'm going to give another one. And I talked about him last week. Rub and tug, Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to be really taking the next step. I mean, here's a guy that's got a fully guaranteed contract. You saw what he did with Houston. He took them right to the precipice of greatness, and he was close, and then decided he needed to get some service, allegedly. But I think this is his year. This is not only his year. This is their head coach. It's either win or he's gone. So it's a situation. I think Cleveland is going to take a nice little step forward offensively. He's got a full year under his belt in the system. He's going to have a full year of camp and production. So I like him as a possible sleeper. So we'll see. And as I say that, Cleveland disappoints my dad. So, but I could only hope for the best for old Deshaun Watson. So moving on to our wide receiver, here's the list of the top 20. And again, I don't think anyone's surprised. I am surprised Cooper Kupp is up that high after that injury. Usually you come off a knee injury, you might not have that playmaking ability, that ability to cut, and that's his game, putting the foot in the ground and running routes. So remains to be seen. So really no surprises. I do think Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably a little bit low. I think when it's all said and done, you're going to see his numbers up there a little bit higher. But we'll start with you, Tim. What do you think about the wide receiver position?
The wide receiver position is pretty much the same as the quarterback. You have your top 5 guys, Chase, Jefferson, Devontae Adams, guys like that. But sleepers, I seen Deebo Samuel was number 16 on that list. I think that's disrespectful, the way he makes plays running the ball and receiving. Sleeper-wise, there's a bias theme here. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Naivete Higgins, sleeper. But Chris Olave, he's got a quarterback this year. I think he'll develop a lot. Garrett Wilson has Karen Rodgers. And Jackson Smith and Jigba in Seattle with Metcalf, Lockett, and K9. They'll have a pretty good season.
AP.
Yeah, I agree with the list. Obviously, I think everybody's positioned properly. But a guy I really like is at number 7, CeeDee Lamb. Had 156 targets last year, 107 catches, 9 touchdowns. I think his numbers have gone up each of his first 3 seasons. They added Brandon Cooks. That'll give him a little bit of cushion, maybe take a little bit of the attention away from him. And then obviously you got Tony Pollard, who's a threat out of the backfield. So I think CeeDee Lamb's really going to bust it open this year. I think he'll probably crack the top 5 next year. And then another one Tim kind of stole my thunder on, which no surprise. Chris Olave, 119 targets last year, 1,000 yards, 4 TDs. He has a functional quarterback. He did well last year with 3 different quarterbacks, Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, and Taysom Hill. So I think he's going to do some damage this year with a functional quarterback. I'll say.
Derek Carr. The Derek Carr comeback tour. They're going to win the South.
Yeah, Rich is on mute.
JP's not going to say anything. JP's just like, yeah, just a functional quarterback.
Yeah, he's not
that.
Nothing great, but functionable.
Yeah, I've been clicking mute on and off because I've been coughing. So I'm like mute. I don't want you guys to hear me cough and hack.
Oh boy, you got
Rich?
What's your drink of choice tonight?
Okay.
That's what Rich is drinking.
And then what into me? Give your meat a good old rub.
Yeah. Oh, give me your wide receivers, Rich.
Oh man, wide receivers. Yeah, I was kind of shocked to see Cooper Kupp up that high, especially after coming off that injury. I think, obviously I just said Joe Burrows just because I like, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I still think T. Higgins is up there. I'm not going to sleep on Amon-Ra. I think, I was kind of worried about what his production numbers were going to look like because of Jameson, but since he took care of that suspension that he's got going on for the first part of the season, I think that he's going to get more targets that way. Which I think it might open it up because of, the passing game might open up a little bit more because of the run game is going to be just that, just as dominant as it was last year, in my honest opinion.
Yep.
I like Olave. I know I'm kind of beating the same drum, but JP kind of beat it. The guy did a lot of good with a lot of bad last year. So
work that into me. Give your meat a good old rub.
There we go.
What are you doing, man?
You said you didn't want to beat.
No, yeah, whatever.
You give it a good old rub.
Yeah. And as much disdain as I have for Kirk Cousins, Jamar Jefferson is probably going to put up solid numbers again. So
yeah.
But, and I also read online some stuff. Everybody's, you hear the rumors of, Lincoln Cooper Kupp getting traded to Detroit, and it's no bueno. I'm good on that. I'm good
that's
on that.
not going to happen. I don't see that happening.
No.
That might have been clickbait.
Yeah, I don't need Kelly Stafford. I don't need to see Kelly Stafford 2.0 here at in Detroit. So.
No, absolutely not. For me, you look at AJ Brown. I think he's 9, and that's kind of shocking to me that he's that low. But I think when it's all said and done, yardage wise, production wise, you gotta like Tyreek Hill. I mean, you if he's got a quarterback that's going to be able to throw the ball to him, that he doesn't have to worry about, concussion or whatnot like they did last year. He was well on his way. And so I think he's going to be somebody that you look at as production wise, as wide receiver is going to be really big number maker. But here's a sleeper, and it's Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Ridley last year kind of got hosed. He suspended for the entire year. He was the first one that fell victim to the sports betting. Allegedly he was betting on football. I don't know the full scope of the story, but anyways, he was suspended for an entire season. He's coming back, and I mean, you got to like the quarterback that's going to be throwing the ball to him. And you want to talk about somebody that's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be coming back ready. He's going to be coming back hungry, and he's going to be playing on a team that is very pass happy. So I look for him to be a player that's going to really make a lot of noise and a lot of points in fantasy. And then my other sleeper, and Tim mentioned it, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he's got a really good situation. Geno Smith has a cannon for an arm. And the fact that DK Metcalf's on the other side of the field is really going to open the door for him to get a lot more action. And he's
Tyler Lockett too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good route runner. Hopefully he's healthy. Last year he had health problems. He got what game was that he got blew up in?
Notre Dame game. He got hurt in the first series.
Yeah, I mean, he got blown up, and it kind of stuck with him the entire season. I would have liked to see him come back and play as the season progressed, but it just didn't happen. But I think there's another guy he's prepared, and having the fact that, like I said, DK Metcalf on the other side of the field and Tyler Lockett, and they've got a run game. Kenny Walker III, he's a hell of a back, so that's going to open the door for him and make a lot of fantasy points, and a lot of teams that pick him up, I think, are going to be really, really happy. So, again, this was quarterbacks, wide receivers. We're going to take it to running backs and tight ends next week, probably, as we lead up into the next fantasy football season. So it's going to be real fun, and we're all part of the Speakeasy Fantasy Football League, so we're going to be, talking a lot of smack in the show, and we're going to give everybody updates as the season goes to see if Melissa can maybe go back to back. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that doesn't happen, because she beat me in the championship game. But whatever, I move on. So we are going to move on to our favorite time of the show. That's right. It's the part of the show where we ask you, get out your phones, open up that app, that sports betting app, whatever you use, whatever's giving you that free cash at the moment. We're going to give you some bets. You're going to take it, maybe win some money, and hey, who knows? Maybe you'll give us a little kickback. So, Tim, I'm going to start with you this week, since your face has been on the camera all show, first time ever. Hey, it ain't your money.
It's not my problem.
What you got?
I did a futures bet, Heisman Trophy winner at plus 10,000. Donovan Edwards.
Dang, all Michigan today.
That'll never happen again.
Let's get him a hat. We got to get him a hat.
Dude. Oh, man.
I like him better than Corum.
This is a show I'll never forget.
Edwards just ran by the Speakeasy, still running all the way to New York.
Oh my gosh! Wow, dude.
Only day it's gonna happen.
And you had another bet you were telling me about earlier, a little NASCAR bet.
Oh, I took Kyle Busch to win the race tomorrow.
So if anyone watched Reckless Speculation on Thursday night, Robbie gave a 10% money back guarantee if you took Kevin Harvick to win the race that will be ran tomorrow. It was rained out. If you put a bet on Harvick and he didn't win, he was going to give you 10% of your money back if you went to the Reckless Speculation socials. So I do believe you did take up that offer.
I did Kevin Harvick as well, just to get 10% of my money back.
All right, JP, it ain't your money.
Yep, I'm going to go with baseball tomorrow. Tigers are in Kansas City. Matt Manning coming off of his portion of the no-hitter. He's on the bump tomorrow. So I got Tigers money line. And then Cincinnati is going to San Francisco. They're America's team, and I picked them to win the NL Central, so they can't lose tomorrow. They're underdogs. So I got them money line paired with the Tigers at plus 305.
All right. Very good. Very good. Rich, it ain't your money.
Not my problem. So I'm with Tim on this one, the futures bet. I kind of talked about it before the show. Plus 6,000, the Detroit Lions to score at least one rushing touchdown each game this year.
I like it.
So that's my bet.
That's on FanDuel?
FanDuel.
I like that bet. I mean, plus 6,000, just throw a couple bucks on it. God, you never know.
Shit, $10 at 600. So
that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. So, well, it ain't my money, so it's not my problem. I'm going futures as well. I'm going pennant winners for this year in MLB. I've got In the AL, the Houston Astros plus 400 to win the AL pennant. And who's going to win the NL pennant? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to set up a rematch of the 2017 World Series. Garbage can gate. Boom, boom. Oh, here comes the fastball. Here's a curveball. The LA Dodgers plus 260 to win the NL pennant. I think that's going to be a World Series that a lot of Dodger fans will say would love to see their opportunity to get back at them after the losing that World Series. So good bets today, fellas. Great bets.
That's a waste of money, but it ain't my money and it ain't my problem right there, buddy.
Hence the name of the segment. So
as I'm watching Houston play like crap against Los Angeles Angels,
that's all right. There's still a long way to go in the season. Long way to go in the season. Long way to go. All right, fellas.
All right.
It's closing thoughts time. We're going to close this bad boy out. And Tim, we're going to start with you. Got any closing thoughts tonight?
Not really. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the views and comments. Today was a good show with all the comments coming in.
The comments from Virgil. We may not have been able to put a couple of those comments on the screen because we may have been banned. We do appreciate you watching, Virgil. That's awesome. Thanks for the follow.
We made it, fellas. Training camp's open this week. Rookies start reporting on Tuesday. It's football season.
Yep.
We made it.
And we finally have something to talk about.
Oh, yes. JP, closing thoughts tonight.
Yeah, nothing just too much. Just great show tonight, guys. It was fun to share some laughs and do it and get away from every day-to-day life once a week. You know what I mean? It's a good time. So I appreciate it and always looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Rich?
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of don't want to beat the dead horse here with the two other guys. But, yeah, no, I'm glad I got home at a decent time today. I had to take a nap. Getting up at 5:45 in the morning and then driving home, it sucked. I was tired. I was kind of iffy whether or not I was going to make it on or not, but I'm glad I did. A lot of fun. So, I mean, just look forward to next week. And, yeah, just kind of like what you said, football season is right upon us. I mean, and we got, hockey's going to be starting here soon. That's going to start ramping up here. So the fun part of sports season is right upon us. So,
absolutely. Tonight, I'm just going to kind of talk about what Rich mentioned earlier in the show. We're witnessing something that none of us in this show has ever seen, and it probably hasn't been seen since the days of Babe Ruth. Shohei Ohtani, what he has been able to do, not only offensively, but on the pitching mound, he's phenomenal. He leads the Angel in every offensive stat. Leads the whole team in every stat. It's ridiculous. And pitching as well. And like we talked about earlier, the Angels said, hey, he might be for sale. So we're going to see probably some of the craziest scenarios, some of the craziest rumors, trade offers that we've ever seen as baseball fans. So it's going to be so exciting. And then the end result is you're looking at a baseball player that potentially could be your first $50+ million a year player. And that's just a fact. And 50 might be a low ball just for the simple fact that what he's able to do on the mound and at the plate. So it's going to be really fun to watch these next couple weeks just to see the madness of Shohei Ohtani hot stove. So that's going to be really fun to kind of peep in and pay attention to. So, and obviously we'll be following it as much as we can and bringing it to you guys. But yeah, I agree. Great show tonight. We had a lot of good conversation from our followers, especially our new buddy Virgil. He came in hot with a lot of good takes, and Randy just wanted you to say go blue. So
I'll never say those words ever.
Yeah, thanks for watching, Brandy. We appreciate it, and that clip will be cut here real soon. So, but yeah, I mean, this is a fun show. It was a lot of good talk about baseball, and fantasy is always going to be exciting. So, but again, next week we're gonna talk running backs. We're gonna talk tight ends. Hopefully, we're gonna have an idea where the Tigers are at 4 games set against the Royals. So we'll talk some Tiger baseball. Padres coming into town next week, so that'll be pretty cool. And fingers crossed, we'll all be down at the ball game. So we'll talk something about that. So, and we'll do some bets. We'll give you guys some bets, and we'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on all our socials, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to another episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy330. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right back here next week for another fun-filled episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy330.